Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday, and you are happily tuned in to the I'm Making It Happen radio show on the Reef 103.5 FM with exceptionally yours, Nykole Tyson. And we are here on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And on I'm Making It Happen, we discuss how we can make it happen in our minds, bodies, finances, business, and culture, despite the inevitable and not so pleasant challenges. And that's to ultimately shift our mindsets and allow us to realize that we have the power to improve and maneuver every and any situation. And, we're going to talk about an organization that's very well talked about all the time, right? It's a part of our lives to have the CEO, Karl Knight of the Water and Power Authority in studio with us, as well as Chanel Peterson, Director of Communications for the Water and Power Authority. And we'll be talking about, burying power lines to raising to job opportunities at the Water and Power Authority, and much more. So stay tuned. And before we get into the details, definitely want to say good morning specifically to everyone in the USVI, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, the British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, and anywhere you are in the Caribbean. Thanks so much for tuning in, as well as all those listening live on reefbroadcasting.com from the East to West Coast. Good morning to you. And those watching live on Facebook at I'm Making It Happen. Good morning. And those watching on I'm Making It Happen, are you on Instagram? Please do like and share. And we will be taking calls at the halfway mark of the call of the show, okay? And questions. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about keeping the lights on literally with WAPA's vision for the brighter future. And definitely want to, again, welcome you. And we're going to dive into touching on entity that affects everyone's home, business, and every part of our life in the Virgin Islands, which is power and water supply. And of course, joining me, who is not new to being on the hot seat, as we mentioned, is Karl Knight, CEO of WAPA. We're going to be talking about project updates, solar energy, water conservation, career opportunities, and yes, what's on everyone's mind, when can we expect lower rates in the future? And so, thank you and good morning.
Good morning. Man, you've raised those expectations.
Well, I only expect the best from you, Karl. I know you can meet the expectations, too.
Good morning. Thank you, Nykole. It's a pleasure to be back here with you and your listening audience. It's been a few months, so I think it's probably timely to give an update. We've covered a lot of ground in those months, but of course I want to keep the community dialogue open and make sure that the public is aware of how we're progressing, where we have our challenges and where we are meeting those challenges. So thank you for having me. I'm Karl Knight, the CEO of the Water and Power Authority, and of course I have with me my Director of Communications, Chanel Peterson, who helps facilitate these sort of community engagements.
Good morning. Thank you, Nykole, for having us.
Thank you for being with us.
So we are making it happen. We want to make sure we inform the public. There's a couple things that I probably want to make sure I get out of the way before we get distracted. So we do have some major projects that are kicking off.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get there?
Yeah, we're doing that right now.
All right.
So let's get into it.
Yeah,
we're doing the hard balls now, no softballs.
Oh, no, no softballs. But we do have two major projects, right? Mm-hmm. One is so both of them are underground electrical projects. So we are keeping true to our word in trying to bury as much of the overhead aerial lines as we can, mitigating against the risk of storms and other things that happen to those overheads. I mean, things like vehicles crashing into poles, vegetation up in the lines, iguanas and God knows what else on the lines, and lightning strikes, everything else that the aerial system is vulnerable to. So we're trying to mitigate against some of those vulnerabilities by taking the lines underground. We have two major projects. One, everyone is going to feel it's a main connector along the Queen Mary Highway. We are basically trying to tie in. We did some work in Golden Grove Park not too long ago, a couple of years ago. We're extending that underground system, so now we are bringing that back from Central High School, moving forward towards Golden Grove Park. And in the immediate future, unfortunately, and I truly apologize for this, but we do have to close the eastbound lane from Castleburg heading towards Aradias, and we're probably going to have that closed for a few weeks.
On the highway?
Along Queen Mary Highway, Center Line Road.
Oh, on down.
Center Line Road, yeah. Okay. And the reason why I apologize profusely is because I know that road when Public Works was constructing the bridge out there, that roadway had been closed for quite a period of time.
And where's that again?
This is from Castleborg intersection, east West Airport Road, heading the eastbound lane. So the good news is we're not closing the full road, but we are closing the eastbound lane, heading towards towards Aradias. That's the intersection there by the territorial, the Superior Court entrance. And the purpose of that is for us to bury underground conduits for our electrical system. So we'll be having various road closures. We'll try to keep as much of the road arteries open as possible, but from time to time there will be some strategic road closures to allow the crews to be able to do the work that they're doing. So I just want to let the public know that. I understand the inconvenience, but this is really progress, right? We are finally starting to bury our lines in earnest. We are increasing the neighborhoods and locations that are going underground, and this is part of that expansion. So as we transform our infrastructure, there will be disruptions, there will be these sort of inconveniences, but it is part of us building a more resilient, stronger, modern, brand new infrastructure, and that's a good thing. The second project is also an underground electric project. I'm excited about that one because as we expand this underground infrastructure, Hannah's Rest is going to be the first residential neighborhood that is the benefactor in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's the benefactor of underground electrical. So we are coming into Hannah's Rest to bury lines. Yes, Hannah's Rest has been battered and beaten. It took quite a beating from Maria in 2017, and of course we've been putting in a lot of infrastructure, but there's a reason for that. Because it took such a beating in 2017, the funds and the ability to give priority to that southwest section of the island is there. So WAPA is able to get federal funding to bury the lines in the southwest corridor of St. Croix, and that includes the neighborhood of Hannah's Rest. So we're going to be taking their lines from overhead, and we're going to be putting them underground, and that's going to be our first residential neighborhood. We think we have a good design that will kind of be a hybrid between the service lines that go into the individual homes, but being able to bring the main trunks on the secondary underground. So we're looking forward to that project, and that should build a little bit more resiliency on that section, that neighborhood on St. Croix. So those two projects are happening. They will be a little bit disruptive, especially the project on Queen Mary Highway, but we ask that the public bear with us. James Benton Construction has the contract on both of those engagements. I know they're very familiar with the community and very familiar with traffic controls and what is expected of them, and so I have no doubt that they'll do as good a job as possible in maintaining those roadways open and restoring them once the project is done.
Great. Well, definitely WAPA is making it happen, and I'm excited to know that we're having these underground electrical lines coming into fruition, and noting is that it's the first one that's being initiated by WAPA, because there's other underground
but
projects.
none that were WAPA designed.
Okay,
yes.
Great. And so this is like Karl Knight just mentioned, if you're just tuning in, CEO of the Water and Power Authority, mentioned that this is about resiliency and making sure that we are able to withstand any natural disasters, and it doesn't take us out of communication, or not the communication, but lights and those things during those times, during hurricanes, and it's about stormproofing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, because even thunderstorms, right? So our system, we don't have an issue with rain. Everybody says, "Oh, when it rains, power goes out." We don't have a problem with rain.
It's the wind.
Wind is a problem because it blows trees onto the line, so wind is definitely a problem. And lightning is a problem. Thunderstorms are really bad for our system because lightning strikes can take out, cause faults and take out the system. So by burying underground, it's not just the tropical storms, it's even the regular thunderstorms. It's even, we've had like some windy days. These last few days have been extremely windy. And if you have branches that are near those lines and they start to move about, 10 months out of the year, that tree isn't a problem, but you get, windy week like we've been having, and suddenly that tree is now in your lines creating havoc. So those sort of issues we can mitigate against once we bury the lines.
Perfect. And if you're online on Facebook, you'll see, I believe this is the right picture. Janelle can confirm the intersection is going to be blocked during the time of the underground installation of the electrical lines. How long do you think it's going to be?
So this is going to be a few weeks. So we're probably looking at least 2 months. And as I understand it, there'll be various stages. Right now, we're looking at the eastbound lane, so we're not completely blocking the roadway, but traffic will be diverted heading east.
Okay, so again, what we used to do, which was to go around Castleberg and Killer Park, and by the National Guard.
The good news is Airport West is now open.
Right.
Airport Road West. So that bridge has been repaired.
You can make a right and go into the highway.
You can make a right, you can make a left. Okay. You can find your path, whichever makes most sense for you.
Great. All right. Again, we just showing that online on Facebook where the intersections of where that road is going to be blocked off for installation of electrical lines. So that's exciting. Okay. So let's see. And I think we had another image. Is this Hannah's Rest? Okay, the Hannah's Rest underground electric cover. Electric overview.
So Hannah's Rest, when it's all said and done, Hannah's Rest is going to have brand new water lines, PVC water lines. It's going to have brand new underground electric. We would have totally modernized the infrastructure in Hannah's Rest, and so I'm very proud. I hope the residents there are appreciative. I know they have dealt with the disruption as we've dug up the roads, but this makes for a much more resilient community. They're the benefactors of brand new modern infrastructure built to current standards, and that's a good thing.
That's exciting. All right, and starting in the West. So I know they have to be appreciative, right?
Starting in the West, yes.
All right, great. And
so people ask about, they say, well, why especially on the water system, right? I get a lot of questions. You're rehabbing water lines, but you're starting in the West. The problem really originates, the water originates in the East. The problem is probably accumulating as it goes up the line. We actually have projects. We have 2 major projects. One, I hope they're making a contract award soon. They've already evaluated proposals that's going to actually rehab water lines going from Tide Village all the way around the north side to Lorraine. And that includes not just water lines, but it also includes sewer, it also includes electrical underground, and anything else that needs to be buried. Everything is going to be buried one time, one contractor, one dig, and the road repaired as we go. There's another project that picks up almost at that intersection there at Lorraine and goes west. And that's the second phase that actually starts to rehab those water lines heading out towards the west. So there is, between the 2 projects, I know it's at least 30 miles of new water line infrastructure that's going in. The one project is almost ready to go. The second project is still in the works, the design phase, but we have new infrastructure coming there as well.
Perfect.
And yes, we're going to dig up the road one day.
Listen, so that's my question that's coming to you right now. So you must be reading my mind, because my question is, okay, they're going to dig up all these projects. They dig up the road, and I'm so happy to hear about these new infrastructural, improvements that's being in process. Is there going to be a measure to make sure that they pave the road back properly?
Oh yeah. That goes without saying. One of the things we are doing, especially those 2 larger projects I'm talking about, is a one dig, right? So it's one contractor. Everything gets put into the ground that needs to get put in. So when we pave, we're paving, and
so you're doing electrical and the water.
We're doing electrical, water, sewer, everything. Okay. Waste management, WAPA, everybody that has to get in there gets in there. Everything is designed at the same time. Everything is buried at the same time, and the road is repaved. Once it's repaved, that's it. We don't have to open it back up. And these projects should have a lifespan. I mean, all water lines, PVC water lines have a really long lifespan. I assume it's the same for the sewage and everything else. So we shouldn't have to go in there to dig up anything anytime at least 10 or more years, if not 20 or so years into the future. So if we do have to repave those roads, it won't be because we had to do repairs or replace infrastructure. Once we bury those utilities, they're going to last us quite a bit. We don't get many, if any, leaks on our PVC system. When we have leaks, it's usually, you can almost tell it's part of the old ductile iron water system. It's not the new PVC. And we've been burying PVC pipes for at least 20, 25 years now, and they're holding up. So that's a good thing.
All right, perfect. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson, and we have Karl Knight, CEO of WAPA, Water and Power Authority, in studio with us. And we just talked about, you just expressed or explained that you're going to be installing electrical lines underground from Central off the highway, like going down.
So the electrical is coming from, it's going to ultimately connect around the Kings Hill area, heading towards the Golden Grove Park. So we're going to be connecting up to the underground that we already put in Golden Grove Park the other day, that connects the prison and the police headquarters, etc. So we started to tie in the network now.
Okay. And there's no blockage for that?
There is the eastbound lane.
Eastbound, is that the one?
That's the one from Castleburg to...
Oh, okay, that's Queen Mary Highway. I keep thinking about Melvin Evans. Okay, no. Queen Mary Highway. All right, for some reason. On Queen Mary Highway. I just saw the picture too,
Your Centerline Road. So
the Centerline, that's right. Okay, Centerline Road, I understand that. Okay, and then, and note is going to be that road between Trailer Park and the Superior Court, going RDS Road, is going to be blocked off. So we know about the detours. So good thing is you can make the right onto the highway or the left into Trailer Park Road.
That's right.
To for your detours, and that's going to be blocked off about 2 months. Good thing is that you mentioned electrical lines, sewage, water, all going to be.
Well, in this case, it's the electrical where we're tying in the electrical. Area. There's another larger project that's probably, realistically, maybe sometime next year that gets kicked off. That really kind of puts in water, everything else, and goes the rest of the way. This right now is just the electrical.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. And so this is Karl Knight. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about, other things. We talk about the World Water Day celebration, or if there's anything else you want to mention. Also, career opportunities. Also want to talk about future rates. Oh, and the solar panels.
Sure.
That's the next project, right?
Sure, yeah.
So before we take the break, that's another project, the solar panels.
So, we have, right now, we are heading towards completion on our second solar farm in less than a year. That's the Hoggensburg solar farm. That's another 10 megawatts, in addition to the 10 megawatts we have at the State Petronella, yes. And they are wrapping up the work out there. I'm looking forward to maybe by next month we can have some sort of ribbon cutting. That is, the Petronella farm has really been helpful. It has allowed us to reduce our dependency, just as it was designed to. It has reduced our dependency on fossil fuel. It has reduced our dependency on having to import fuels in. And certainly Hoggensburg is just going to expand that even more. By the time we commission Hoggensburg, probably in the next 60 days or so, we would have had 24 megawatts of power generation on the island of St. Croix generated at peak from solar. That's a big deal because the peak load on St. Croix in the middle of the day is probably about 45 megawatts. So about 24 out of that 45 would be from solar, and that's a big deal. We're making it happen.
Definitely, you are making it happen. If you're on Facebook, again, on the I'm Making It Happen page, you'll see the images of the progress being completed at the Hoggensburg Solar Farm. That's out east. It's massive when you drive by. So I don't even know how I didn't see it. It seemed like it was you guys covering it up. I mean, you're like
Petronella, because you probably couldn't, your eyes weren't processing what you were seeing, but Petronella was kind of hidden because the grass had grown up on the fence line. Hoggensburg is off the road, so you got to really, I don't want to send too much people up there, but Hoggensburg is off the beaten track. When we're ready to unveil, we'll unveil. It's right there in plain sight, but you got to go up the road looking for it.
I was like, when did that happen?
When you fly over, you can't miss it, though.
Right. So it is massive. Again, you can see the progress. When they first started, and then when it was complete. All right. So, like I mentioned, we're gonna take a break. And what I want to find out when we get back is like, how does this, relate to transition to, like we just were saying, 45 megawatts on a day, 24 megawatts is going to be coming from the solar farms. We have other things that you're doing with the infrastructure to improve it. How does that going to translate to
All right.
Well, you're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll find out more again from the CEO of the Water and Power Authority. Before we take the break, definitely want to remind you, Carlos Furniture is still your number one furniture store in the territory, and they're located in Petersburg, St. Croix, and Tutu Park Mall, St. Thomas, open 7 days a week. They will meet or beat any price. I was just there yesterday. They have so many new items in store, and so make sure to take a trip there, either locations in St. Thomas or St. Croix, and see what they have new. And again, they'll meet or beat any price. They have your bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen appliances, decorative items, and so much more. Check them out at Carlos Furniture. As well as Quality Auto Parts located near Sunny Isles. They're as well open 7 days a week, and you can call them at 340-778-5462. That's Quality Auto Parts. It's all in their name. So we'll take a break, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to I'm Making It Happen with Exception Years Nykole Tyson. And if you were with us before the break, you'll know that we have CEO of the Water and Power Authority, Mr. Karl Knight, as well as Director of Communications, Chanel Peterson, in studio with us. And before the break, we learned about the projects that is ongoing, that will be starting soon, which is the electrical underground installation on Centerline Road from, Trailer Park area, Castle to RDS entrance, and that's going to be like a 2-month closure, right? And there's going to be detours. And then we also learned about Hannah's Rest coming to you very soon is the installation of
electrical underground as well.
Okay, great. And then soon to be also like water and sewage and stuff like that.
That's coming along the North Shore from Tide Village to Lorraine. There's a project that is now being formulated. Proposals are being evaluated, and they should be awarded a contract soon. Let me just reiterate that. So the coordination of our projects with the other agencies takes shape in 2 ways.
So wait, I want to make sure. So because there was a question here, and they were asking about the agencies coordinating for underground work.
Right. So, and the project that we're discussing is being handled by the Office of Disaster Recovery. That's the big project, not the smaller projects that we're doing. The big project that's going to come from Tide Village to Lorraine is an underground, what they call one of their horizontal bundles. And the Office of Disaster Recovery has basically taken the lead in coordinating this multi-agency effort. This is like $1 billion project that we're talking about here, because it includes everything, the whole kit and caboodle. And the difference between that project and other projects is there's only one contractor. They might have some subs, but in the past, for instance, with Christiansted, which is the most recent experience that I know has been on everybody's mind, everybody saw the disrepair in Christiansted. WAPA came in a few years ago, and WAPA put in underground lines with WAPA's contractor. The Waste Management Authority, so the idea was, trying to coordinate efforts. Once we were done, the Waste Management Authority would come in with their contract, and they would put in the sewer lines. They had some delays in getting their contractor going, so they had some internal issues. So it took some months after WAPA was complete with the project for the waste management project to begin. All this time, before WAPA even started, Public Works actually had a third contractor engaged to do the paving of Christiansted streets, but that contract was put on pause until WAPA and waste management could be complete. So there was an attempt to coordinate. But the challenge is you're trying to coordinate different agencies that have different procurement processes using different contractors. The difference with these bundles projects is that there's one contractor that's on the hook for everything. So they get in, they do what they have to do, they get out, and nobody's waiting on anybody. They control the project schedule.
Perfect. Okay. Great. Thanks for that clarification. Also, there's a question here. When is the project, they didn't get the dates, when is the project going to begin for the Centerline Road?
So,
good
morning again. This is Chanel Peterson, Director of Communications. The project for Centerline Road has already begun. The lane closure is anticipated to begin either later this week or early next week. So right now they are already conducting work. They just have not closed the eastbound lane as of yet.
Okay.
The work started about a week or two ago.
Okay, perfect. And so when are they going to close the lane?
So probably next week. Between the end of this week and next week sometime.
Okay, perfect. So you just updated and letting people know in advance to get prepared for that.
Yes.
And then you said also Hannah's Rest?
Hannah's Rest is also getting ready to start.
Yeah, so Hannah's Rest is getting ready to start next week. However, for Hannah's Rest, there will be no major road closure. As mentioned, it's a residential area, so we'll allow traffic to move in both directions as needed.
Okay, perfect. And yes, a question here is asking the Centerline Road that will be out of commission for 2 months, about 2 months.
And again, it's not the entire road; it is only the eastbound lane. So westbound lane will remain open for the entire project. It's eastbound from currently in 3 sections. The first section, which will begin either again later this week or into next week, will be from Castleberg Community up to Diaz Heights, just near the Superior Court. So it's just the eastbound lane that will be closed.
You could give it to me. And then there's a question here, is the government going to cover any of the surge destruction of appliances and fuse boxes?
That question comes up a lot. My answer is never satisfactory to the public. It's always he said, she said, the ability to prove that a device was damaged by the fault of the utility versus just the device failing or something else happening in the home's electrical. It's a very difficult process to assign fault one way or the other. So I usually recommend to customers that you really ought to protect your sensitive devices. Get a real surge protector, not a power strip, but a surge protector that has a certain joules rating, JOULES, that can protect your sensitive equipment, your televisions, and anything that's really sensitive. You want to get $20 in Office Max, Home Depot, or one of the hardware stores, probably even Kmart. Will get you a surge protector that can actually help protect your more sensitive equipment. A lot of them actually come with guarantees up to a certain dollar value, that if your stuff still fails, they'll honor the guarantee. So you really want to invest in that. If there's some good news, part of the work that we're doing with the solar farms, etc., we're going to be coming around and we're going to be tweaking our transformers. The power quality on the system is actually improving. And so we have, a lot of issues when it comes to voltage and different scenarios over the years that we're actually able to clean up a lot of the power quality issues. And so, heading into the next year or so, we're going to be doing a lot of tweaking of our transformers and the settings on our equipment to actually improve the power quality. That should reduce, if we are having issues out there in certain pockets and certain areas, those issues should be improved. I think by decentralizing the power generation from Richmond on St. Croix and Harley and St. Thomas, it actually allows us to make some improvements in power quality. So that should, to the extent that that's still happening, we should see less of that. In the meantime, yeah, I do recommend folks just a simple purchase of a surge protector. $20 will probably protect thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Great. So I see we have a call. I will take it.
Hey, good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning. That was a yes or no question. Could you please answer a yes or no question?
To what? The appliances? The answer is no.
Yes, sir.
If that, yeah, no. That's a no.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask a question? May I?
Sure.
A caller called about 2 days ago, and apparently her water was off. I guess 2 a.m. it came back on, and when it came back on, she indicated it was running like brown water, then it turned yellow. And the question was, well, she can't afford to be paying for this runoff water. So what can be done?
Yeah, we continue to work on trying to improve the water quality. I wouldn't know. I'd have to know the specific circumstances, how long she had to run the water. depending, it's not unusual if you have metal pipes, for instance, that there's a little bit of rust that you have to run off. If it's an inordinate amount of water quality issue, she probably should call it in, and maybe instead of her running her water, we could flush the lines someplace nearby and take some of that sediment out to the line. So rather than her trying to run that through her faucet, we could probably flush. So she could call that in if it's a significant issue. If it's just a minor, sometimes, no matter where you go, you turn on that faucet, and especially if you have metal pipes, you might get a little bit of brown water that you run off, 10, 15 seconds. If it's something very prolonged and very acute, then she probably should call that in so we could flush the main as opposed to her trying to flush it through her pipes.
Okay, thank you for that response. And again, now you are able to call in, and we will take some questions in between.
So you want to talk about rates, though?
Oh, we are going to talk about rates. Oh, yes, rates. We have to call, so we'll take it. I don't know if it's hold. Is that a caller? You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hi.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I can't hear you at all.
I'm not sure. Well, listen to the phone, not the radio. I don't know.
Okay, let me try and go ahead and ask my question.
Okay.
I was reading an article in the Daily News, maybe like 2 weeks or so ago, and I don't know if Mr. Knight stated this statement that we can expect to see a reduction in our electoral rates for the next 2 to 3 years. So I wanted to know if that statement was correct. Did he make that statement? So I'm going to hang up because I can't hear you over the phone.
Sure.
I'm going to hang up so I can hear you, the answer.
All right, and thank you for that, because we were going to respond. We were going to ask that question, because we did see that online as well. And so, yes, the question is that they were seeing on Facebook, and somebody said it in the Daily News as well, rate reductions might not occur until like 3 years. What is your response to that?
Yeah, so it's a very tricky thing to look into the crystal ball to see at what point that we get there. The first thing I want to start off by saying is that we're getting there, right? So we're becoming, slowly but surely, we're becoming a little bit stronger fiscally. There's been some studies. The legislature did commission a study by a turnaround management company that says by their projections, it'll probably be about 3 years before we can pass on significant rate reduction. There's a lot that can happen between now and then. There's actions that we need to take that, and some of those strategies, in the simplest form, we have debt out there that we need to look at refinancing. We need to consolidate, maybe take some of our short-term debt and amortize that over a longer period. There's some strategies that I believe we can deploy that gets us there sooner than the business as usual scenario. So while, my financial advisors might tell me be cautious in making predictions, clearly, I am on a mission to try to pass on rate relief as soon as possible. We are reducing our operating costs. We are becoming a little bit stronger. We're not strong. We're still in a fairly precarious fiscal situation, but we are slowly putting things heading in the right direction. What that means is I still have a lot of accounts payable out there. Over the years, when we were not in a good fiscal position, we did run up quite a bit of accounts payable. I'm particularly concerned about a lot of the local vendors that have carried WAPA over the years and have extended credit, whether willingly or unwillingly, to the Water and Power Authority. And these are folks that have provided us with uniforms, provided us with tires and automobile repairs, folks that are providing us with trucking services, a lot of small vendors that are local that we want to make sure we take care of. So before I start really passing on rate reductions, I need to make sure I pay some bills first, right? But I do see a future in a not too distant future where we can start to pass on some rate relief. There's a conservative approach and then there's an aggressive approach, and the answer to the question is someplace in between there. So, on the conservative approach, the financial advisors are saying, hey, By the way things look today, 3 years is probably more realistic, but I do think there's some aggressive things we can do that can bring that relief in sooner rather than later.
Okay, perfect. And so that answers your question, and it just sounds as though there is a once time frame from the officials or financial advisors, but Mr. Karl Knight said he's on a mission to provide rate relief.
Yeah,
so
definitely am. And I just want to also put a caveat too. I think when I started off in the position last August, my primary focus, which is still my focus, is to bring reliability and stability back to the grid. Especially in the St. Thomas St. John district, we were having frequent outages, rotating power. The reliability of the product was really in jeopardy. And so getting us to a point where the outages are less frequent, and when we do have an outage, we can get that power back on quicker, as opposed to power being out for hours at a time. We're working through that. We're making great strides there, and so that was probably job number one. Job number two now is focusing on getting the costs down and working on the rates. But stability really is what we came out of the gate trying to achieve. We're doing fairly well on St. Croix. We're doing better on St. Thomas. We still have some work to do, and some of these projects we're bringing online are going to help. And eventually, we're going to translate those operational efficiencies into savings for our customers.
Great. I see we have a call. Oh, you're on the air. Thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
By your house. If a transformer blow by your house and it damage your appliance and stuff in your house, for that, and how much are we paying right now per kilowatt? I'm going to just hang up and let
So wait, I want to understand your first question.
If a transformer blows, do we pay for the damages? So the per kilowatt hour price is 43 cents a kilowatt. For anything over, 300 kilowatt hours for the month, it's 41 cents for, I think, less than 300 kilowatt hours, but we use 43 cents as the average price. The transformer, if a transformer blows, it's probably, that's actually a protective measure. Most of the time, what you hear pop outside your home is actually the fuse that blows. That's that loud bang that you usually hear. It's very rare for a transformer to blow. It's usually a fuse that blows, and when that fuse blows, it's actually the protective scheme. That's how fuses work. They blow so that there's no damage or surge going back to your home. So when the fuse blows, that's actually a good thing. That's probably a surge that would have hit your home, and that fuse did its job by disconnecting. And in so doing, disconnecting power to you and any other properties that are fed off of that transformer. So that's actually, I understand the scenario you're trying to make, but in the case of blown transformer fuses, that actually protects you and insulates you from damage. If there is damage that somehow gets through, again, as I said earlier, it's always hard to validate what the source of that issue is. And that's the reason why we don't have a general policy of trying to, where I could say we're going to pay for damage, because it's going to be a lot of investigation by engineers and whatnot to determine what the source of damage was. Transformers blowing is a good thing. We're trying to make sure we have enough protection on the system that if things do happen, we do have over voltages or surges, that we do have protective systems to protect you and your household.
Great. I see you have another call. We'll take it. You're on the air. Thanks for calling. You're on the air. Okay, they hung up. Next call.
Well, that same radio station about 2 weeks ago reporting a pole on the North Shore Road that needs to address. I was just driving there this afternoon. I take down the number of the pole. It's right there across. There's a nails place, Spencer's. It's right across that road. There is, hold on, I'll give you the pole number.
All right, we'll hold for the poll number, but don't call the radio station, call WAPA and report that. And if you can get that poll number, that's usually what we need to be able to track it to a specific location. And we'll dispatch the work order to the line department to do the repair.
Yeah, let me give you the poll number. I took a picture of it. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
The pole number is C04617.
C as in cat 04617, correct?
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
we got that. We'll forward that on to the line
south side of
department.
that pole, there is one pole with a transformer, and on the north side of that pole, there's 3 transformers on one pole, and that pole is cracked.
Okay, we'll transfer the information to the line department. Thank you for that. And just for the general public, yeah, call those in. It's helpful. There's a little medallion on the poles that has a number like the caller just relayed to us. And St. Croix, those numbers would begin with the C, and you want to relay that pole number. So even if it's an issue with the building or whatever, that pole number puts us in a very precise location, more precise than a name or even an address. That pole number tells us exactly which pole we're looking for. We do have a pretty good GIS inventory of our materials out there, and so when you give us that number, we could track it to exactly where we need to be. So thank you for that, caller.
Another call. We'll take it. You're on the air.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for answering my call. I just listened in, and I heard you talking about transformers. Now, the question is, who determines where a transformer is supposed to be placed, especially in a residential area? Because I have one, and I did not give my permission to have it placed right underneath my window. So, as you were explaining to the person, the previous caller, that if anything happens, it has not been established that it could be the transformer's fault. So how would we know that we shouldn't be responsible, or we should be responsible for whatever damage happens to our appliances?
So again, transformers really fail in the way that we think they fail. When we hear loud pops, people tend to say the transformer blew, and really, in most, I would say 9 out of 10 instances, if not more, it's really the fuse that blows. When it blows, it sounds very loud, and so there's an assumption that the transformer itself blew, but it's really just the fuse. It's either a transformer fuse, a line fuse. That's usually what people hear that gives off that really loud bang in the neighborhood. In order to serve your home, we do have to step down the voltage that's entering your home. So for every few homes, 4, 5, 6 homes, you do need to have a transformer. That is the way we take that high voltage off of our lines and step it down to a voltage that's safe for you and your appliances to meet the 220 that your house would have been wired to accommodate. So transformers are necessary. We can't solve you and your neighbors without installing transformers. If we, so they have to go somewhere, and it's going to go on a pole, someplace in close proximity, because then we run from that transformer directly to your home or to your wherever your meter base is. So they can't be too far away either, right? The farther we go, the more exposed those wires become. So we try to keep them in close proximity to the homes that they're serving. If there's something very acute, so one, transformers in of themselves are not dangerous. It's not like the old days when they had PCB oil in them and different other issues. They're not in of themselves a danger. If you do have some real acute concern, we can certainly take a look at it. But in most cases, the line department and their engineers would make a decision as to what's the most efficient location for that transformer, and they will place it where it can serve the most homes as efficiently as possible. So if there's something unusual about the location of yours, certainly maybe take some pictures and bring it to our attention. But in general, it's not a danger to you or your household. Most homes, or many homes, have a transformer outside. That's not in and of itself a danger.
Okay, thanks for your call. And we'll take the next call. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I love them 2 questions that came in, but you deflected. You didn't really address the situation. What has really happened, we ain't dealing with the transformer or the fuse. We're dealing with when current go and it comes back, it has this surge. And that is what has messed up the equipment. It ain't the transformer because it's a protective mechanism put in place. And it ain't the fuse. We're talking about when the current come back on. there's a surge, and sometimes the TV go off, the VCR stay on. Sometimes the phone click off. What I'm saying, it varies. You see what I'm saying? So we're not talking about the fuse or the transformer. We're speaking of when current come back after you cut it. The repercussions from that. That's what we're speaking of. And I don't seem to, you're not addressing that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a general belief that there's such a thing, that there's a surge when the current comes on, and that's just not the case. So you have those same fuses in a transformer that if there was a surge, those would blow if the surge was large enough. In your home, you have a breaker panel, right? And you have breakers. And again, if that surge was to come through, it would trip your breakers. Those are protective mechanisms for your home. And then, as I tell people, as a third line of defense, if you really wanted to, you can actually put in surge protectors on your electrical equipment, or you could even put in whole house surge protectors coming off of your meter. But you actually have several protective schemes. Unless you're tripping breakers or whatnot, you really don't have evidence of a surge coming from outside. There's a lot of protective mechanisms to protect surges from feeding back. So there's this general belief that when the power comes in, it's like water or something that comes with a rush that comes back into your home, but that's just not how power works. It doesn't come back with a surge. It comes back at the same level with the same voltage that it left. It doesn't surge your home per se. What does cause surges? Things like lightning strikes might cause a surge. If the grounding in your home is not proper, that might create surges at times. There are things that do cause legitimate surges, but it's not power going and coming back that causes a surge.
Okay, thank you for that response. We have another call. I'll take it, and then we have to get back to some of the questions before we close out. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hello, yes, my call dropped, but I had another question. Who is responsible for the lines where we have so much fines and so many things wrapped around the wire? And I see them across from the Kingfield Cemetery and also around by Rogers, going down that road. And I'm wondering if there's who is responsible, because it looks as if these things can cause electrical fire. I'm not sure, but I just know that these wires are wrapped around with a lot of trees and brushes.
Yeah, they're so the line department, to answer the first part of your question, WAPA and our line department are responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of those lines. We do have issues with vines and whatnot. The biggest issue is us not having visibility when they start to wrap around. They can create issues. They can create pole fires. And then most importantly, we just don't have visibility. If the vines take over enough, we can't see what's happening on that pole. So we have been trying to keep up with that. We actually had an outage, I think, over this past weekend in that same area by Central High School, feeder 9, where we took the power off for, I think, 4 hours. I believe it might have been Sunday, just so we could trim back vegetation, trim back trees, trim back vines, and clear the lines. We are hoping to get to a point where we can do that work without having to take the power. And so we're building some capacity both in-house. I'm also trying to restore a contractor. We're preparing. I have a draft of a solicitation where I'm going to try and get some tree trimming contractors to help and supplement us. We have some grant funds, federal funds, that we're going to be using to build back some capacity in-house to do tree trimming. And I'm going to make sure we train the guys so we can do some of that work even when the lines are hot, so we don't have to take off the power in order to do that work. So we have kind of fallen behind in some of that. It has caused us some problems from time to time. We're acutely aware of that. And we continue to try to do maintenance as much as we can, even as recently as this Sunday in that same area that you're referring to.
Okay, thanks for that call. We'll take the next call. Are you on the air? Thanks for calling. Make your question brief, please.
Yeah, good morning. I didn't hear the part with the kilowatts. How much kilowatts are we paying right now?
43 cents. The typical residential customer pays 43 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Next call. All right, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I called to let you know that your data is incorrect, because a lot of appliances that I have run across was due to WAPA low voltage on one of the legs below, above the weatherhead, and they have blown appliances. And I have dealt with a house previously, not too long ago, that WAPA told the individual to turn off the main breaker to avoid appliance damage. So your data is incorrect, and you're misleading the people and them.
We could agree to disagree. Low voltage is not a surge, and I did speak earlier about the improvement in power quality because we do have areas where you might have low voltage. I guess the best way I could answer you, Carl, is every situation is different. It depends on the situation in that neighborhood. It depends on the electrical in that house. It depends on the equipment we're talking about. So there's a lot of different factors, and I think that was the bigger point I was trying to make. On a case-by-case basis, we have to evaluate and validate each of those factors before we assign what the root cause of the problem is, right? So in some cases, and I have acknowledged that there are instances where it is WAPA. In some cases, it's not. We can't be in a position, quite frankly, of assuming that it's always WAPA, and that could be a potentially very large liability if we were to just assume and not challenge each case on a case-by-case basis. So I guess that's the best way I can answer you. On a case-by-case basis, we'd have to evaluate. But low voltage can damage appliances, but that's not the same as a surge, and there's different reasons for low voltage.
Thank you. Next call. And the next.
Hello?
You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon. First things first, I wanted to thank you for the initiative to get the power underground for the hurricanes, because we know the hurricanes aren't going to get lesser, they're going to get more intense.
Yes.
Thank you for that. But I have a question about the surge or the low voltage into the house, because we have surge protectors in our fuse box as well as connected to our expensive appliances, and we don't have the $20 surge protector. We have industrial surge protectors.
Okay.
And when the power came back on the last time, it blew and my deep freeze. So I'm not understanding. I don't do electricity, but I'm not understanding how that's not causing appliances to get blown.
Yeah. So again, we would have to look at the specific circumstances. That's something. If you really feel that you have protected your equipment and that this was related to power outage and power coming back on.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good conversation. I encourage you to call the customer service line, and we can have somebody maybe come out there and take a look and see if there's something particular happening at your particular location. I think that's if in the time that I have here, if there's anything I could leave the audience with, it's these things are probably on a case by case basis. Maybe there's something else that's happening there that we're missing. But certainly if you feel that you've done the things that you need to do and what you're describing sounds that way, then reach out. Let's see if we can have somebody come and take a look and see if there's something particularly happening at your property that would have caused such a situation.
Before you disconnected already? Oh, okay. All right, take the next call. That's the last call. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
The
Turn on your radio.
Darling, it's true about the power surge, because I have had an electrician come and check my house too, and appliances I allowed from a big power surge, that you guys need to start taking responsibility for people being in the house, because it's your fault that this is going on. Not only that, I have a line there from the pump post to the house. I've been to WAPA about 15 times to come and change the wire, because from previous hurricanes, the wire have about 4 patches in it where they have joined it several times. And up to now, WAPA don't come and change that line. They haven't come and take a look at it. And it's like they refuse to fix it. And then they expect we to pay our light bill every month. I mean, I should be ashamed of yourself. Where are you treating people?
Okay, thanks for the call. We got to disconnect. Listen, we got to disconnect. And so, again, the show is positive, and no name calling and stuff. I understand everybody's frustration. We're all in the same boat. My thing is that CEO did mention that there are some times that they are responsible for it. Make sure to contact or take it upper. So if the 15 times they come and it ain't happen, make a letter to the CEO himself. You know what I'm saying?
And with the last call, I mean, you know, call it into the line department. You know, let's generate a work order and come out and evaluate. You know, sometimes it's a matter of materials and material shortages. You know, there might be some reason for calling it in. You know, we dispatch work like that every single day. So, you know, you hear from customers that might be waiting and become impatient, but you don't hear from the customers that we actually right now are out there resolving issues that they may have. So things do get done. We do resolve customer complaints. Trust the system. If you've called it in before, call it in again. Again, poll numbers are helpful to us so we can isolate and find a location. And I assure you that the men and women in the line department, you know, they're on it. They'll try and figure it out. And they'll try and resolve your problem to the extent that they have the ability to do so.
And I want to ask if they do escalate, they can escalate it to you?
Yeah, I hate to say that, but I get so much things get escalated to me.
I know you do.
There's quite a few ways customers can dispute an issue, whatever is going on in their neighborhood. It's important to know they don't have to always physically go to the office. They can call customer service. We have designated personnel that answers and responds territory-wide, and those numbers are 340-773-2250.
Okay, wait, say that again.
Absolutely. 340-773-2250. And there's also a secondary number, 340-774-3552. Traditionally, there was a St. Thomas, St. John number and a St. Croix number, but again, both of these numbers, territory-wide, you will get service. In addition to calling in, you can also email. That's your track record. I always recommend emailing because you can go back to your email and say, hey, I sent an email on XY date, and you can send that directly to customer service. Customer service responds within 48 hours. This has been tried and tested many times. And so that email address is customer.service@viwapa.vi. Again, that's customer, customer .service, @viwapa.vi. So those are the main ways. Now, in addition to that, for other issues, you can also go to our website and include within our web portal an other problem. So it doesn't always have to be a water outage. It doesn't have to be regarding the power. There's an other that you can select, and that'll also go to our dispatch team, who's 24 hours a day. Be sure to leave accurate information like your phone number, your email address if you want to be contacted. And they do respond. And that's, again, on our website, www.viwapa.vi. And in that top right corner, they can click on issue, and they can get service that way as well.
Thank you. Before we go, I did wanted to mention real quick about the vacancies.
Oh, yeah.
At WAPA. We definitely want people to know about that.
We're always looking for a few good men and women. I got a lot of good men and women, but I'm always looking for a few more. We certainly, on St. Croix, we are looking for lab technicians. We're looking for engineering technicians, civil engineers. We're looking for operators, linemen. We're looking for electricians. We're looking for electrical engineers, instrument techs, maintenance repairmen. We have vacancies right now. We are looking for somebody with experience in preventative maintenance. We need to replace our preventative maintenance manager. We're also looking for attorneys. We're looking for a substations manager. We're looking for director of safety. And we're looking for some folks with HR background as well. So we always have vacancies. Please check our website for the listing of vacancies. We are always looking for talented Vautrinanders that are looking for stable employment and the ability to do something that has an immediate impact on your community. As you can judge from the questions, from the callers, you know, WAPA touches everybody's life. Everybody depends on the quality of service that we bring. And so the ability for us to bring that quality service is dependent on us having quality employees that can do that work. So we're asking the community, if you have folks that you know are well suited for these positions, please reach out, check out vacancy listings. It's a real good place to work. I promise to pay you well.
And great, I love that part. You promise to pay well. Definitely those vacancies, and making sure that, you know, we have vacancies, we have employment here on St. Croix or in the Virgin Islands. So make sure you apply, contact Water and Power Authority about the open positions. Lastly, real quick, can you give us an update about the water celebration, Water Day?
Oh, absolutely. So on March 22nd last month, we celebrated World Water Day. This was a series of events throughout the week in partnership with 7Seas Water Group, our partner that creates potable water for us here across the territory. We attended several schools territory-wide, in addition to hosting several UBI students at the 7Seas facility, where they got to tour the actual plant and see how water is created. We're looking forward to additional events coming up later this month, including Earth Day that we're celebrating in collaboration with Virgin Islands Friends of the Park in St. John, and then also the Eco Fair with the St. Croix Environmental Association later this month as well. Many other celebrations for the linemen as well. We've got Lineman's Appreciation Day coming up, and some other fun things anticipated to really be out in the community, let the community see who we are, and to celebrate our team members.
No, I just wanted to punctuate that with the World Water Day in particular. That's we take it for nothing. But remember, we don't have any fresh water. We don't have any rivers or lakes. We do something really amazing in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We take seawater and we turn it into potable drinking water, and that in itself is miraculous. Wayne Faxman Adams always used to tell us that the shortage of fresh water is going to cause the next World War, and the fact that we have really pioneered over the years how to extract seawater and turn it into fresh water is a really powerful thing. So I don't take that lightly. I'm glad we were able to get out and kind of show students and other folks in the community how that's done. That's a really involved process.
Perfect. Let me take this last talk because this person says she want to thank you.
Okay. I'll always take that.
Yes, definitely. So we'll take that call. All right. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hello. Thank you for taking the call. I want to thank him for even taking the job. I do listen all the time on the radio. That would be a position I would never want to be in. So I don't know him personally, but I could sense that he's trying, because he inherited a whole lot of problems. I mean, this plant has been a problem for decades. So I just want to just tell him,
I totally appreciate that.
You're breaking up really bad.
Yeah.
But we did get your sentiments.
Yeah.
And thank you for the call.
I appreciate that. At the end of the day, this thing belongs to us. This thing called WAPA belongs to us. It belongs to the community, and it's going to be as good as we make it. And I live here. Friends, family, neighbors, cousins, you name it. We're all here together in this thing together. Somebody has to put their shoulders to the wheel. I have 515 employees who are also residents and Karl Virgin Islands home that put their shoulders to the wheel every day to make sure that the rest of us have electricity and water to go about our daily functions. And so sometimes it is a thankless job, but that's what public service is all about. And so I'm grateful for the encouragement, and of course also make sure you encourage, when you see my meter readers, customer service reps, etc., encourage them as well, because they put up with a lot as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Karl Knight, CEO of the Water and Power Authority, for being with us today. Really appreciate you taking the time, answering the questions. And as I mentioned, that you're no stranger to being in a hot seat, and so you know how to deal. And what I love that, the last, we had the VIPD commissioner on, and now you. And so I mentioned that I was very happy that we have locals, like Mr. Molyneux was saying before the show, is that you've grown up seeing these issues. Yes. And you're part of the community, and so the culture, the issues that people have, and you're committed, like you mentioned, to improving the quality of electricity as well as our rates reduction. And so very happy that we have you on board and that you continuing to progress the agency. We will take some calls off air, not calls off air, sorry. answer some question off air. And we do appreciate everybody who was tuned in today, that called in, those who messaged on online on Facebook as well as on Instagram. I know we had a couple calls from Instagram, and people that are vested here that called from the States as well. So we appreciate you for tuning in. This was the conversation with CEO of WAPA, Mr. Karl Knight, and we also had Director of Communications, Chanel Peterson, in studio with us. So we'll be back again on next week. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back again on next week on I'm Making It Happen from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Have an amazing rest of the day and the week. We'll connect again on next week. As I mentioned, if you don't see something happening, create it. Be the change. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines, and remember, it's about you, me, we. So make it happen.